First contact fallacy. Grand Admiral Zexilian stood on the command deck of the Stellar Dominance, pride of the Taurian Imperial Fleet. His scaled skin shimmered under the blue light of holographic displays as 4 pairs of eyes rapidly processed the incoming data. The Empire had ruled the known universe for 12 millennia, subjugating over 70,000 worlds across 16 galaxies. Their crystalline warships, powered by harvested stellar energy, could annihilate entire solar systems in moments. Their quantum network allowed instantaneous communication and force projection. Their supremacy was absolute, unquestioned. Until today. Magnify Sector 12, Quadrant 4, Zexilian ordered, his deep voice echoing through the command center. The holo-display zoomed in on a small spiral galaxy at the edge of Imperial territory. The Taurian Empire's expansion had accelerated in recent centuries, driven by the need for resources to sustain their vast civilization. This unremarkable galaxy, designated Milky Way in Imperial records, had been scheduled for standard subjugation protocol. "What am I looking at, Science Director?" the Admiral asked. Science Director Villara approached, her slender form gliding across the deck. "An anomaly, Grand Admiral. We detected unusual energy signatures from this peripheral system. Initial scans indicated a pre-FTL civilization, but our deep space sensors have now detected inconsistencies." "Explain." "The third planet of this yellow star system houses a species called humans. Our preliminary assessment classified them as Category 3, primitive beings with rudimentary space technology limited to their own system, basic nuclear capabilities, and global communication networks. As per standard protocol, we dispatched the observer for first contact and integration assessment." Zexilian's top right eye twitched with impatience. "I'm aware of standard protocol, Director. What is the anomaly?" "The observer never returned, Grand Admiral." Silence fell over the command deck. The loss of an Imperial scout vessel to a pre-FTL civilization was unprecedented. "How is this possible?" Zexilian demanded. "Unknown, sir. Last transmission indicated they were initiating contact procedure. Then, nothing." The Grand Admiral's forearms tensed as he processed this information. "Send a reconnaissance fleet. 3 warships should be sufficient for a primitive world. I want answers." 3 days later, Zexilian received the answer he never expected. "Grand Admiral." Communications Officer Nexus's voice was strained. "We've lost contact with the reconnaissance fleet." Zexilian's facial ridges darkened in disbelief. 3 Imperial warships, lost to primitives. "We received one final transmission before contact was lost." Nexus hesitated. "Perhaps you should see it yourself, sir." The holographic display flickered to life, showing Captain Drex of the Implacable Judgment. The captain's scales had lost their luster, and smoke filled the background of the command center. "This is Captain Drex." The recording began, the officer's voice steady despite the chaos behind him. "We engaged the human defense forces as ordered. They were waiting for us. Grand Admiral, these are not primitives. They have phase-shifted energy weapons that penetrated our shields as if they weren't there. Their vessels emerged from hiding positions throughout their system. They have technology that masks their energy signatures. They knew our weaknesses, our tactical formations. This was a trap, sir, and we walked right into it." The transmission ended abruptly in static. Zexilian stood motionless, his mind racing. The Empire had encountered resistance before, even advanced civilizations that fought back, but never had a supposedly pre-FTL species hidden such capabilities. Never had they suffered such losses so quickly. "Prepare a full battle group," he ordered finally. 10 warships, support vessels, and ground forces. I will lead this expedition personally." "Is that necessary, Grand Admiral?" Villara asked carefully. "Perhaps we should gather more intelligence first." "The Empire does not gather intelligence when its sovereignty is challenged," Zexilian replied coldly. "The Empire responds with overwhelming force. These humans have deceived us, destroyed Imperial vessels, and must be taught the consequences of such actions. On Earth, in the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Maya Chen watched the holographic display showing the approaching Xorian fleet. Around her, military officers and civilian leaders from the United Earth Defense Council maintained a tense silence. "They're coming with a much larger force this time," noted Admiral Harrison, his weathered face grim. 10 capital ships. Maya nodded. "As expected. We've poked the hornet's nest." "Was that wise?" asked the European Union representative. "We could have maintained our deception longer, gathered more intelligence." "No," Maya replied firmly. The messenger was clear. "The Xorians expand exponentially. The longer we waited, the more overwhelming their response would be. We needed to draw out a force we could defeat decisively while maintaining some of our technological surprises." 70 years ago, a damaged alien vessel had crashed in the Siberian wilderness. Inside was a sole survivor, not Xorian, but a refugee from a civilization they had conquered. Before dying, this messenger had transferred vast amounts of data to human scientists. Information about the Xorian Empire, their technologies, their tactics, and most importantly, their weaknesses. The messenger's final words became Earth's guiding principle: hide. Prepare. When they come, and they will come, show them nothing until you can show them everything. For 7 decades, Earth had maintained the appearance of a typical developing civilization, while secretly building defenses and technologies specifically designed to counter Xorian capabilities. The public remained unaware, believing that humanity's ventures into space were limited to the International Space Station, a few moon bases, and unmanned Mars missions. In reality, Earth had constructed massive shipyards in the asteroid belt, developed energy weapons that could penetrate Xorian shields, and created a defense network throughout the solar system. "All defense platforms online," reported the operations officer. "Lunar batteries charged and ready. Belt fleet in position. Stealth monitors tracking Imperial formations." Maya took a deep breath. "This is what we've prepared for. Let's hope it's enough." She activated the comm system. "All forces, this is General Chen. The enemy has arrived with significant force. Implement Operation Revelation. Good hunting." In the void of space, Grand Admiral Zexilian observed the blue-green whirl through the viewscreen of the stellar dominance. Such an unremarkable planet to have caused so much trouble. "Scans complete, Grand Admiral," reported the tactical officer. "No significant orbital defenses detected. Primitive satellites and 1 small space station in low orbit. Ground installations consistent with Category 3 civilization. Detecting numerous population centers, military bases, and industrial facilities." Zexilian's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. The reconnaissance fleet must have encountered some anomalous defense system or weapon. Perhaps these humans simply got lucky. Begin standard bombardment pattern. Target military installations first. "Yes, Grand Admiral." Warships moving into position. The Imperial fleet spread out, taking optimal positions for planetary bombardment. The massive crystalline vessels began to glow as they charged their main weapons. "Energy spike," the sensor officer suddenly shouted, multiple signatures appearing throughout the system. Before Zexilian could respond, dozens of vessels seemed to materialize out of nowhere, emerging from the shadow of Earth's moon, from the asteroid belt, even from what appeared to be cloaked positions in open space. They were sleek, dark vessels that somehow absorbed sensor scans rather than reflecting them. "Impossible," Villara whispered. "Their ships were not there a moment ago." "Incoming transmission," announced the communications officer. The holographic display activated, showing a human female in a military uniform. Her dark hair was pulled back tightly, and her expression was calm, almost sympathetic. "This is General Maya Chen of the United Earth Defense Forces," she stated. "Xorian vessels, you have entered sovereign human space without permission. Your previous aggression against our scout ships has been noted. We have no desire for conflict with the Xorian Empire, but we will defend our system with all necessary force. You have one opportunity to withdraw peacefully." Zexilian stared at the human in disbelief, then barked out a laugh. "This is Grand Admiral Zexilian of the Xorian Imperial Fleet. Your deception has been exposed, human. Your resistance, while impressive for primitives, is futile. Surrender your world to Imperial authority or face annihilation." The human showed no reaction to the threat. "I understand, Admiral. We had hoped for a different outcome." The transmission ended. "Arrogant creatures," Zexilian muttered. "All vessels, target their ships and—" "Multiple weapon locks," the tactical officer shouted. "They're firing." Beams of concentrated energy lanced out from the human vessels, striking with impossible precision. The advanced shielding of the Imperial warships, designed to repel any known weapon in the galaxy, flickered and failed under the assault. 3 Xorian ships erupted into crystalline fragments within the first minute of combat. "How is this possible?" Zexilian demanded as the stellar dominance shook under enemy fire. "Their weapons are specifically calibrated to our shield frequencies." "Grand Admiral," Valara's voice was thick with realization. "They knew we were coming. They knew exactly how to fight us. This isn't luck or coincidence." Another explosion rocked the flagship as 2 more Imperial vessels were destroyed. The remaining Xorian ships attempted to return fire, but the human vessels moved with uncanny anticipation, evading the energy blasts with ease. "They're reading our tactical network," the weapons officer reported in horror. "They're intercepting our command signals before we can execute them." For the first time in his centuries-long career, Grand Admiral Zexilian felt fear. This was not a primitive civilization's lucky defense. This was not even an advanced society fighting back. This was something unprecedented. A species that had specifically prepared to fight Xorians, that understood their technology, their tactics, their vulnerabilities. "Retreat," he ordered, his voice barely audible. "Sir?" the navigation officer questioned. "I said retreat," Zexilian roared. "All vessels, emergency translation to hyperspace. Return to Imperial space immediately." As the surviving Imperial ships fled, Maya Chen watched from the command center. Around her, cheers erupted as officers and officials celebrated their victory. But Maya remained solemn. "This isn't over," she said quietly to Admiral Harrison beside her. "We've won the battle, but we've revealed our hand. The Empire won't take this humiliation lightly." Harrison nodded gravely. "They'll return with everything they have. Then we better be ready." Maya turned to address the command center. "The celebration can wait. They'll be back, and next time, they'll bring the full might of the Xorian Empire. We have work to do." The Reckoning. Emperor Araxil Xi, supreme ruler of the Xorian Empire, conqueror of 1,000 galaxies, and living embodiment of cosmic order, was furious. His massive form, twice the size of an ordinary Xorian, loomed over the Imperial War Council. The ancient chamber, with its crystalline architecture and murals depicting 12 millennia of conquest, had not hosted such a gathering in over 3 centuries. "Explain this humiliation," the Emperor demanded, his voice reverberating through the hall. Grand Admiral Zexilian knelt before his sovereign, head bowed in shame. "An unprecedented deception, Your Radiance. These humans concealed their true technological capabilities, presenting the appearance of a primitive civilization, while harboring advanced weapons and defenses specifically designed to counter our systems. How is this possible?" Emperor Xaraxil's eyes narrowed. "Our intelligence protocols are infallible. No species has successfully hidden their development from us in the entire history of the Empire." Science Director Valara stepped forward cautiously. "We have analyzed the battle data, Your Radiance. The human technology doesn't follow standard developmental patterns we've observed in other species. Some aspects are indeed primitive, while others are surprisingly advanced. Most concerning is the fact that their weapons and defensive systems appear specifically engineered to target Xorian vulnerabilities. The Emperor's scales darkened with rage. Are you suggesting espionage? Treason within the Empire. High Inquisitor Drax, the Empire's chief security officer, interjected. We found no evidence of information theft or betrayal, Your Radiance. However, we have identified an anomaly in our records. 70 Earth years ago, the research vessel Enlightened Discovery disappeared while exploring that region of space. We'd presumed it destroyed in a stellar phenomenon. A cold silence fell over the chamber as the implications became clear. You believe this vessel fell into human hands, the Emperor stated. It is a possibility we must consider, Drax confirmed. If humans recovered any technology or information from the Enlightened Discovery, it might explain their unusual preparedness. Emperor Xaraxel turned back to Zexilian. What is your assessment, Grand Admiral? Zexilian raised his head. These humans represent a unique threat, Your Radiance, not because of their technological level, which remains inferior to our greatest achievements, but because of their specific knowledge of our systems and tactics. They fight as if they have been preparing for us for decades. Then we shall overwhelm their preparations, the Emperor declared. I am mobilizing the First Imperial Fleet. 200 warships, support vessels, and ground forces. You will lead this armada, Grand Admiral. Return to me with news of humanity's subjugation, or do not return at all. Yes, Your Radiance. Zexilian bowed deeply, but his mind raced with uncharacteristic doubt. Something about these humans troubled him deeply. Still, with the full might of the Imperial fleet, how could they possibly stand against the Empire? On Earth, preparation had reached a fever pitch. The United Earth Defense Council had enacted the final stages of the Messenger Protocol, bringing all of humanity's hidden technologies and defenses online. The pretense of a Category 3 civilization had been abandoned as massive defense platforms rose from oceanic hiding places, and the true extent of Earth's space fleet was revealed to its citizens. In the Lunar Command Center, Maya Chen studied the strategic display with her senior staff. They had expected this response, but the scale was still sobering. Intelligence from their deep space monitoring stations confirmed that the Xorians were assembling the largest invasion force seen in centuries. 200 capital ships. Admiral Harrison whistled. They're certainly not holding back. Can we stand against such numbers? Asked Colonel Rodriguez, commander of the Earth Defense Grid. Maya nodded toward Dr. Eliza Sharma, head of the Messenger Technology Division. Doctor, it's time for the full briefing. Dr. Sharma activated the central holographic display. What I'm about to share has been classified at the highest level until now, she began. When the Messenger's ship crashed 70 years ago, we recovered more than just information. The vessel contained 3 critical technologies we've reverse-engineered. The hologram displayed a complex schematic. First, the quantum disruptor. It targets the specific subatomic frequency Xorian ships use for shield harmonization. But more importantly, she paused, making eye contact with each person in the room. We recovered their communication codecs. Murmurs spread through the command center. We can intercept and decode all Xorian tactical communications in real time, Sharma continued. Every order, every maneuver will be known to us moments before execution. And the third technology? Rodriguez asked. Dr. Sharma smiled tightly. The Messenger called it stellar compression. Essentially, it's a way to harvest and store energy from our sun, similar to how Xorian weapons work, but with a critical modification they abandoned centuries ago for being too unstable. Unstable how? Harrison asked. When properly configured, the energy buildup creates a cascading reaction in Xorian crystalline hulls. She paused. In simple terms, one hit can shatter any Xorian vessel, regardless of size or shielding. Maya added, we've kept these capabilities hidden, even during our first engagements. We wanted the Empire to believe they simply encountered unexpected resistance, not a fundamental threat to their technological superiority. But now, Harrison asked. Now we show them everything. Maya replied firmly. We've been preparing for this moment for 3 generations. We won't get a second chance. The command center buzzed with activity as reports came in from throughout the solar system. The Belt Fleet had deployed to defensive positions. The Jupiter and Saturn moon bases had activated their long-range weapons platforms. Earth's orbital defenses, disguised for decades as satellites and space debris, powered up their systems. And they waited. Grand Admiral Zexilian observed the blue planet through the viewscreen of the newly constructed flagship Imperial Wrath. This vessel alone carried enough firepower to reduce Earth's surface to molten slag. Around it, 200 of the most powerful warships in the Empire formed an invincible armada. All fleet elements in position. Grand Admiral, reported Fleet Commander Tarsix. Awaiting your orders. Zexilian narrowed his 4 primary eyes. Something still troubled him about this world and its defenders. Their previous victories could not be mere luck or surprise. The humans had demonstrated knowledge and capabilities that suggested a deeper understanding of the Empire than should be possible. Initiate a full scan of the system, he ordered. I want to know every ship, every defense platform, every potential threat before we engage. Yes, Grand Admiral. As the scans proceeded, Zexilian reviewed the intelligence gathered since their last encounter. The humans had abandoned their pretense of being a primitive civilization. Their system now bristled with defenses and vessels of advanced design. Most troubling were readings suggesting energy signatures similar to Xorian technology. Scan complete, announced the science officer. Human forces detected throughout the system. Major concentrations around their homeworld, their moon, and in their asteroid belt. Their technology appears to incorporate elements similar to our own, but with significant modifications. Zexilian frowned. Similar to our own. Explain. Their energy signatures bear a resemblance to Imperial technology, but with variations we don't fully understand. It's as if they've taken our designs and evolved them somehow. Before Zexilian could respond, the communications officer interrupted. Grand Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from Earth. On screen, Zexilian ordered. The holographic display activated, showing the same human female commander from the previous encounter. Behind her stood representatives of various human ethnicities, all in military or leadership attire. Grand Admiral Zexilian, she began, I am General Maya Chen of the United Earth Defense Forces. I see you've returned with a more substantial fleet. Before we proceed, I believe we should speak plainly. Zexilian's mandibles clicked in irritation. There is nothing to discuss, human. Your world will submit to Imperial authority or face annihilation. Maya nodded as if expecting this response. 70 years ago, a Xorian research vessel entered our system. It was damaged, possibly from a solar flare. It crash-landed on Earth. There was one survivor, not a Xorian, but a being who called a research subject. A survivor from a world your empire had conquered. Zexilian felt his scales tighten against his body in shock. This being, whom we called the Messenger, lived long enough to share everything. Your technology, your tactics, your history, Maya continued. For 3 generations, we've prepared for this moment, building our defenses specifically to counter your capabilities. We've studied you. We understand you. Impossible, Zexilian whispered, but the certainty was draining from his voice. We don't want conflict, Admiral. Unlike your empire, we don't seek to conquer or subjugate. We simply wish to exist, free from Imperial control. Consider carefully what happens next. The Empire has never faced an enemy that truly understands its weaknesses. The transmission ended, leaving the command deck in silence. Fleet Commander Tarsix moved to Zexilian's side. They're bluffing, Grand Admiral. No primitive world could truly comprehend our technology, even with stolen information. Our numbers will overwhelm any defense they've constructed. Zexilian wasn't so certain. The human's confidence didn't seem like bravado, but something worse. Certainty. Begin the attack, he ordered finally. All vessels, advance on optimal attack formation. Concentrate fire on their orbital defenses first. The massive Imperial fleet surged forward, their crystalline hulls gleaming in the light of Sol. As they approached weapons range, Earth's defenses remained silent, waiting. "They're not responding," Tarsix noted with satisfaction. "Perhaps they've recognized the futility of resistance. Or they're waiting for something," Zexilian murmured. The Imperial fleet reached their designated firing positions. "All vessels report weapons charged and ready, Grand Admiral," Tarsix announced. "Fire," Zexilian ordered. 200 Saurian warships unleashed their energy weapons simultaneously, enough firepower to crack a planet's crust. The beams converged on Earth's orbital defenses and passed straight through them. "What?" Tarsix exclaimed. "The targets. They're holograms." Alarms blared across the command deck as sensors detected massive energy spikes throughout the system. From behind Earth's moon, from the asteroid belt, from what appeared to be empty space, the real human fleet emerged. "It's a trap," Zexilian realized too late. "Evasive maneuvers. Recalibrate weapons." But the human vessels had already fired. Beams of golden energy lanced out, striking Saurian ships with unerring precision. Where they hit, the crystalline hulls didn't merely breach. They shattered, entire vessels disintegrating into glittering clouds of fragments. "What weapons are these?" Tarsix demanded in horror as 20 Imperial warships were destroyed in the opening salvo. "They've weaponized our own technology against us," Zexilian realized. "The stellar energy compression experiment we abandoned because of crystalline resonance instability. They've perfected it." The battle quickly turned into a massacre. Human vessels, somehow immune to Imperial tracking systems, struck with impunity. The Saurian fleet attempted to regroup, to coordinate their defense, but their tactical networks had been compromised. Every order Zexilian issued was anticipated and countered before it could be executed. Within an hour, over half the Imperial fleet had been destroyed. The Imperial raft shuddered under repeated impacts, its weapons unable to lock onto the elusive human vessels. "Grand Admiral." Fleet Commander Tarsix's voice was hollow with shock. "We're losing. We must retreat." Zexilian stared at the tactical display, watching as the greatest fleet in Imperial history was systematically dismantled by a species they had dismissed as primitive just weeks ago. In 12 millennia of conquest, the Empire had never faced such a defeat. "Order the retreat," he said finally, his voice barely audible. "All surviving vessels. Emergency translation to hyperspace." As the remnants of the once mighty fleet fled, Zexilian received one final transmission from Earth. General Maya Chen's expression was solemn, without triumph or gloating. "Remember this day, Admiral," she said simply, "not as a humiliation, but as understanding. Humanity doesn't want war with the Saurian Empire. We want recognition. We want peace, but we will not be conquered. Return with more ships, and the result will be the same. Return with an offer of diplomatic relations, and you'll find willing partners." 3 months later, Grand Admiral Zexilian stood before Emperor Araxil XII in the Imperial throne room. The audience was private, unprecedented in Imperial protocol. "You recommend peace," the Emperor stated, his tone incredulous. "With humans." "I do, Your Radiance," Zexilian replied, his head held high despite the disgrace of defeat. "These humans are unlike any species we have encountered. They don't think as we do. When faced with a superior force, they didn't surrender or fight hopelessly. They prepared, adapted, evolved. Yet you believe they won't use their advantage to attack the Empire. They've had ample opportunity and haven't done so. Their own transmissions, which we now monitor constantly, suggest they truly desire coexistence, not conquest." Zexilian paused. Perhaps it is time for the Empire to evolve as well. Emperor Xaraxil considered this in silence. Finally, he spoke. "In 12 millennia, the Empire has never signed a treaty of equals with another species. You are asking for an unprecedented change in Imperial doctrine. I am asking for survival, your radiance, Sexilian replied. The humans have shared their technology with neighboring systems. Already, a coalition of worlds is forming under their protection. We can fight a war against an enemy that understands our every weakness, or we can adapt to a new reality. The Emperor's ancient eyes studied his Grand Admiral. You admire them. I respect them, Sexilian corrected. They have accomplished in decades what other civilizations couldn't in millennia. They are dangerous, yes, but also potentially valuable. Their capacity for innovation alone makes them worth cultivating as allies rather than enemies. 1 solar year later, on the neutral world of Proxima Centauri, General Maya Chen and Grand Admiral Sexilian signed the first equal treaty in Saurian imperial history. The Treaty of Proxima recognized Earth and its allied systems as sovereign territory and established diplomatic and trade relations between humanity and the Empire. As they stood for the official recording of the historic moment, Sexilian spoke quietly to Maya. Your species constantly surprises me, General. No other civilization has forced the Empire to change in 12,000 years. Maya smiled slightly. That's humanity's greatest strength, Admiral. Not our technology or our weapons, but our adaptability. When faced with overwhelming odds, we don't resign ourselves to fate. We change the rules of the game. A dangerous quality, Sexilian observed. A necessary one, Maya countered. For survival. Something tells me the Empire might benefit from learning it as well. Sexilian considered this as they completed the treaty ceremony. Perhaps she was right. Perhaps this unexpected encounter with humanity would transform not just imperial policy, but the Empire itself. For the first time in his long life, Grand Admiral Sexilian found himself looking to the future with uncertainty and with curiosity. The galaxy would never be the same again.